What's up everyone, Wolfman here, back at it again with another LEGO Star Wars review, and today I'm doing a review on the Phantom. Which Phantom you might ask? The Phantom 2, which quite frankly I think is the better one compared to the other Phantom which came out with the first version of the Ghost. And if you had seen my previous Mog Monday video, my Mog Monday review on the Ghost itself, you would have seen that starship that I've put into the video just to show that it can actually fit in my own rendition of it. If you didn't see that, feel free to go back and check it out if you haven't seen it. And that was a model I was actually quite proud of. Now before I get into the review itself, just a quick reminder of the upcoming review on my Grand Fleet, which will be on the which is going to be uploaded on the 26th of November. And it will be consisting of starships from the different eras of Republic, Empire, First Order, even Rebel Alliance, and even ships in between such as Mandalorians and even bounty hunters. That's something that anyone who comes across this channel that you want to tune into, then come join the Wolf Pack by hitting the red subscribe button down below, and I will be saying that again at the end of this video. And without any further ado, on to the review. And here it is, set number 75170, the Phantom. This set was released back in 2017, has 269 pieces and comes with 3 minifigures, 2 of which are quite unique. I'm going to go ahead and jump into those guys. And this set was actually quite the must-have. I would say was quite the must-have for a lot of LEGO Star Wars fans, because this sucker actually has the one and only infamous Grand Admiral Thrawn. As you can see in this close-up photo here, he is of his alien species is of the Chiss, which is known for their blue skin and red eyes. And there's a lot of lore behind this infamous Grand Admiral, which is the highest ranking that any Imperial officer in the Navy could actually ascend to the rank of. And the second minifigure here is Kanan Jarrus, and this one's actually a different version of him. This is after he gets blinded by Darth Maul on Malachor, if you didn't watch the Rebels TV series. So he actually does have a mask on, and he actually does have legit eyes underneath. In fact, both these guys do have double face, as you can see in this photo here as well. I hope at least Thrawn does. But Kanan, he actually is legit blind, and his eyes are actually quite pale to show that off. And I do believe you can actually switch wigs with his first version of Kanan Jarrus. And of course the third figure, which you can get in a handful of other sets, is the Astromech Chopper. And of course, once again, I'm going to go give kudos to the designs on these guys. They do have printings in the back, except for Chopper, but his head actually does have full 360-degree printing. And each of these, and Kanan does come with his lightsaber, his blue lightsaber, and Thrawn comes with a small pistol. Excuse me. And I'm actually quite glad I was able to get this set before the set had actually retired. Of course, this sucker really wasn't available for very long. It was actually surprisingly available for just under a year, which I would say is quite rare. So I would say Grand Admiral Thrawn is quite the sought-after character, because this is the only version of Thrawn you can ever get in a set. So even if you were to get him loose individually, he would go for quite the pretty penny. So definitely well worth the purchase. And I'm actually a big fan of his design. He actually is a really neat minifigure, and as well as Kanan as well. I mean, given the fact that he was basically made blind in the series, and kind of glad that LEGO Star Wars was able to actually have both of these figures in this one specific set, even though this was a $30 set when it was released. But definitely well worth the purchase, not just for the ship, but mostly for the figures. So I'm going to go ahead and put those guys up to the side. We'll just move on to the actual shuttle itself. And this is the second rendition of the Phantom. There was actually quite the history around the first one, or how the Spectres, as they were referred to, how they got the hands on this one. The first one had been destroyed during an away mission to, I believe, yeah, it was to retrieve some Y-wing bombers that were being stripped down. And unfortunately, the first Phantom got blown up in a when it detached from the station where the Y-wings are being dismantled. So I think it was within a few episodes. This sucker was actually retrieved from a downed separatist supply shuttle. So this ship was actually originally, I believe, from the Trade Federation. Correct me if I'm wrong, but I do believe that this type of ship was utilized mainly by the Trade Federation, but even from the separatists. And I'm actually a big fan of this design. I actually had gotten another version similar to this. It was an older ship known as the Separatist Shuttle. And I've actually kind of modified that one just a little bit, but I won't do a review on that individually, but you will definitely see it in the Grand Fleet review. But this sucker, I actually love even more, mainly because it's kind of a bit of a downsize, and the fin on top is actually shorter in height, because in the other one, the original model, it was actually a lot taller. And it was just a bit on the stocky side, I think. But this sucker is actually much wider. I wish I actually had the other one on hand, but unfortunately, it's raining outside and I don't want to get wet. So, yeah, this sucker does have some playability. The cockpit does open up to fit a pilot in there, which specifically would be Kanan. It does have a display stand, if you can see that. Yeah, I don't know if you can see that or not. And of course you got the spot for a pilot. And of course the cockpit piece. And this actually detaches like an escape pod, which is actually a neat touch because in the other model it doesn't do that. But yeah, it connects by those 3 points on the ship itself, and it's actually a neat feature. And of course you can actually fit Chopper in here. In the original, in the series, they actually modified this. Not only did they do the paint job, but they actually made a slot for Chopper. In fact, I'm just going to go ahead and grab the little guy. He just sits quite comfortably right in there. So he can actually fly this thing himself without another pilot. And it's actually a neat feature. I'm actually glad they did this because it makes the shuttle look asymmetrical, which I'm starting to have a major soft spot for. Of course, this sucker, once again, it actually does have the spring-loaded shooters. As always, I never put them in because I'm afraid of just activating or setting them off. And one neat feature, this sucker actually has landing gear. And it's a little funky to have them out, but it actually looks pretty streamlined in my opinion when the landing gear is withdrawn. Let me just get the last one here. Just there. It actually looks a little more streamlined, I think. And I'm a big fan, and I really like this design. But one other feature this sucker has, and unfortunately I tried finding it, but this sucker can actually have a cargo box placed in the back. It actually has an Imperial symbol on it, but unfortunately I could not find it. But yeah, this definitely was a worthwhile set, and I was able to fit this in my Ghost MOC. But in the older model, the first version of the Ghost, this sucker can actually fit in as well. Although, based on my opinion, this sucker looked way too big to fit in that version of the Ghost. I mean, the first Phantom could fit in there quite easily, but this sucker looked way too big, in my opinion. If anyone would agree, then feel free to leave a comment down below. But yeah, I actually like this sucker a lot, and I actually wanted to build at least 2 more replicas of it. But some of the pieces I just didn't have, mainly the pieces that you place here on the top on both sides. I had to get my hands on at least 2 of those pieces, and they're not really. I don't think they're that common. But eventually, someday, I will be building 2 more of these, but they'll be more modified. But I'm just a sucker for starships that have fins, or dorsal fins on the tops of the ships. In fact, if you've seen my reviews on the Imperial shuttles, both the landing craft and the other Imperial shuttle from Return of the Jedi, I'm a sucker for those kinds of. I am a major sucker for those kinds of ships, so I'm just a big fan of this. I may say that with a lot of sets, but I basically keep all of my favorite ones, and this was definitely well worth the investment. It was definitely well worth the purchase, and if anyone were to come across this sucker, if you can actually afford it, get it. I highly recommend this set. This is an awesome set to add into your Rebel fleet, even if it's something small and if it's expensive nowadays. But But I think if I were to say anything negative, was the lack of thruster looks. I mean, these are supposed to be the thrusters. Unfortunately, it's actually hollow on the inside, because when you load in the spring missiles right through here, there's an opening in here, and the ends actually rest up against an open pocket right here. And that's really my only complaint, but oh well. But if I were to do any modifications, I would purposely remove the spring-loaded missiles, put something else there, and actually put some thrusters on the back here, because I think that's the only thing. But they wanted to put the spring-loaded missiles in, so I won't really slam that entirely. It was a neat feature. I would almost want to put the stud launchers, which I might try and do one way or another. But I would say I can't really think of anything else to say, so I would say that would be my review. So that was my review on the Phantom from LEGO Star Wars, and if you liked that video, please feel free to leave a like down below, and I would like to hear some from different opinions. Is this your favorite version of the Phantom, or do you prefer the first version of the Phantom? I'd like to hear some feedback, anyone who comes across this channel. And if you made it to this point in the video, and if you want to see more content, then please come join the Wolfpack by hitting the subscribe button down below for more content like this. I mean, I got a handful of more reviews coming in for the month of November, and it's all going to be finished off by my review on my Grand Fleet. There is a lot of starships. I think it's close to 100. Multiple, and some of them are actually multiple TIE fighters, and also my 4 ARC 170 starfighters as well. I got a handful of those different fighters, so definitely something to tune into if you want to see that. It is going to be the video is going to be uploaded on November 26th, either early in the morning or late at night. It is going to be uploaded that day, and I'll make sure that it will happen. So I don't think there's anything else left for me to say, but to remind you that Jesus loves you more than Elmo and Barney, and I'll see you guys next time.